Hi go-getters, welcome back to the channel. There's this saying that you really do succeed when you've got only plan A. And having had my own fair share of failures and finally attaining some level of success, I thought of starting a series wherein I could expose to you some of the African billionaires who made it from zero to hero, and alongside chipping my own story in between in order to inspire you. So this series is going to serve as a motivation to you go-getter to not be scared of embarking on that business venture of yours, and to be capable of understanding that failure isn't the end of it all, but the beginning of it all. So without wasting much of your time, let's dive into these African billionaires that are changing the game. And the first on our list will be none other than Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man. But this isn't your typical success story. Why everyone knows Aliko Dangote like Africa's richest man? What people don't realize is that his first major business almost failed completely. In fact, at one point early in his cement business, he was on the verge of bankruptcy after taking a massive loan to build his first factory. That's right, Africa's richest individual was once just days away from losing it all. And that's just one of the many surprising truths about Dangote's journey that we are uncovering today. We've got a lot to learn from Dangote's story, alright? Personally, I learn a lot and I can relate a lot because starting my very first business, I had my own fair share of mistakes and I lost it all completely, alright? Just like any beginners would make, I made the mistake of taking a loan that I couldn't repay with my first business, and I literally had to pay that loan through other means, and I went through complete hell, alright? But well, that's a story for another day. Now back to Dangote, let's briefly look at his early life and early ventures, alright, in order to be well situated. So Aliko Dangote was born in Kano, Nigeria on the 10th of April 1957 into a wealthy Muslim family. But don't let that fool you, for his path wasn't handed to him simply on a silver platter. What many people don't know is that Dangote, contrary to other rich kids, showed entrepreneurial spirit from a remarkably young age. As a primary school student, he would buy sweets and sugar candies that he would then sell to his classmates for profit. And mark you, this small-scale trading taught him fundamental business principles that he still uses today. After completing his studies in Al-Azhar University, Cairo in Egypt, Dangote didn't immediately launch a massive enterprise. Instead, at age 21, he approached his uncle Sanusi for a loan of 500,000 naira, which was something about $3,000 by then. So he used that money to start importing and selling commodities like rice, sugar, and even cement. Now here's something crucial that most people miss. Dangote's first real success wasn't manufacturing, it was trading. He mastered the import-export business before even producing his first product. For that's a mistake that a lot of us do make, alright? When we hear of production, we just jump onto production without learning the do's and don'ts of import and export, or without even taking the pains to learn the market strategies and everything involved. So all of those tradings enabled Dangote to understand markets, supply chains, and also customer needs long ago before he built factories. And that's why we always advise people to start from somewhere, alright? At times you might have the huge capital to just go massive at once, but we would always advise you to start small and scale up, alright? Because by starting small, you've got that time to make your mistakes and learn from them before investing and using the profit you make to scale up your business, before now injecting more money, if possible, to enlarge the scope of your business, alright? Now back to our story. The 1990s brought a pivotal realization to Dangote. While trading was profitable, he recognized something that would completely change his trajectory. Nigeria, with its growing population, was importing almost everything it consumed. If you remember on the channel, we always try to raise your awareness on the fact that As of today, Africa still imports about 70% of what it consumes, which is alarming. And that's why on this channel, our main focus is to expose to you not only the business opportunities that are in Africa, but the production machines that you could actually purchase and start local production, which is exactly Dangote's main secret. In 1997, encouraged by the policies of the then President Obasanjo that supported domestic manufacturing, Dangote made his first crucial pivot from being a trading company to becoming a manufacturing powerhouse in Nigeria and beyond. But here's the strategic brilliance many miss. Dangote didn't try to manufacture everything. He specifically targeted essential commodities with these characteristics. He focused on products that had high import volume, which was literally a guaranteed market, basic necessity goods that are recession-proof, simple manufacturing processes that are easier to implement, and heavy items with high transport cost. And this is why cement became his flagship product. It perfectly fits this criteria, and Nigeria was spending billions importing it, despite the fact that it had all the raw materials. And that brings to mind Cameroon as well, alright? Cameroon and many other African countries have got all these raw materials. So he was one of the first to think out of the box. And today, Dangote cement is also imported into Cameroon, right? Now, you might think everything was all rosy for him, especially because he came from a wealthy family, all right? Far from that. Many kids from wealthy families, especially after their degree, would settle for the easiest thing possible and enjoy their family's wealth, right? But he decided to go into the wilderness and face his own challenges. Now, what's rarely discussed is just how close Dangote came close to disaster while transitioning to manufacturing. In 2003, he secured a $479 million loan to build his first cement factory, an enormous sum and risk at that time. The project faced devastating delays, construction issues, equipment problems, and bureaucratic hurdles pushed the timeline back by nearly 2 years. Interest on the loan was accumulating and Dangote was facing potential financial ruin. So obviously, many analysts at the time predicted Dangote's downfall. So Nigerian banks began to worry about their exposure to what looked increasingly as a failed project. So what saved him? 3 things. So the first thing is he personally visited the construction sites daily. You know the mentality of most Africans, right? They don't take things seriously unless you are behind them. So he had to take the pains to do that. And it is said that at times he would even sleep in temporary offices around to make sure that he is there on time to cross-check everything. Secondly, he renegotiated with lenders rather than defaulting. And most importantly, he refused to cut corners on quality despite financial pressure. So when the Obajana cement plant finally opened, it produced cement of such high quality that it immediately commanded a premium in the markets, therefore allowing faster loan repayment than projected. Now, in order for us to get situated, let's quickly look at Dangote's business philosophy and principles. Now, for easy comprehension, I am going to be summarizing Dangote's business approach in 5 core principles. And these principles aren't widely publicized. So the first thing I've noticed is that Dangote focuses on essentials. He concentrates on products everyone needs every day, not on luxury or trends. And that's why if you go to one of my previous videos that I am probably going to be linking here, I brought to your awareness the fact that the easiest way to make money and real money is to actually focus on those little commodities that people need every day. Now, his second principle is what I will call vertical integration. So he controls his entire production chain from raw materials to production. And do you know the advantage of that? It makes him depend on others less. Yes, as a smart entrepreneur, you need to try as much as possible to reduce your dependency on others. Now, guess his third principle: long-term vision. Dangote is that one entrepreneur who makes at least 20 to 30 years plan, while his competitors think in quarters. Now, his fourth secret: relationship capital. Dangote is that one smart person who maintains connections among political divides. He also does that with religious boundaries and even international borders. And last but not the least, which is the fifth principle: reinvestment discipline. Even today, considering his wealth, Dangote lives relatively modestly and reinvests over 90% of his profits into his businesses. But what's particularly noteworthy is his approach to government relations. While many could see his political relations as simply knowing the right people, the reality is actually nuanced. Dangote has survived and thrived under multiple Nigerian governments, be it military regimes, democratic administrations, northern and southern leaders. He has succeeded in thriving during all their reigns. And how did he do that? He did that simply by focusing his advocacy on policy reforms that genuinely benefit local production broadly, not just his companies. His argument has consistently been about Nigeria's self-sufficiency and not his personal enrichment, and that has worked like magic for him. When you look at things like Dangote Cement, they don't limit themselves to just Nigeria, right? He always does a geographic expansion of the same business model across other African countries. So what he simply does is that he applies proven formulas in other markets rather than constantly trying new things. Dangote factories now operate in countries like Cameroon, Ghana, Senegal, Ethiopia, South Africa, Tanzania, Zambia, Sierra Leone, and many more. Here in Cameroon, for instance, a lot of people do prefer Dangote Cement, for instance, Building my house, I used Dangote Cement. And a lot of Cameroonians, especially the English-speaking Cameroonians, do go for the Dangote Cement because when they think Dangote, they can relate. This man is such a genius, and his most ambitious diversification yet is the Dangote Petroleum Refinery in Lagos. Yes, we are talking about a $19 billion investment. If you had watched our video on the Dangote Refinery that I am going to be linking here as well for those who are interested, you would be delighted to notice that this refinery is set to process 650,000 barrels of crude oil daily, potentially ending Nigeria's paradoxical dependence on imported refined petroleum despite being the largest producer of crude oil in Africa. One thing that I love and appreciate about Dangote is the fact that he has directly or indirectly impacted the whole of Africa. Dangote's wealth creation has had profound effects beyond his personal fortune. Consider these statistics. The Dangote Group employs over 30,000 people directly, making it one of Africa's largest employers. His companies contribute approximately 10% of Nigeria's GDP, and Dangote Cement alone saved Nigeria over $2 billion annually in foreign exchange that would have been spent on imports. And last but not the least, his tax contributions represent several percent of Nigeria's non-oil tax revenue. Isn't that amazing? Perhaps more significantly, Dangote has demonstrated that large-scale world-class manufacturing could succeed in Africa with the right approach. And his success has attracted other investors to African manufacturing. Before Dangote's cement explosive growth, many African investors considered large-scale manufacturing in Africa too risky. But now, industrial zones across Nigeria and neighboring countries are growing rapidly. And additionally, Dangote's philanthropy through the Dangote Foundation has invested over $100 million in health, education, and economic empowerment across Africa. Now, let me quickly share some fascinating Dangote statistics that illustrate the scale of his operations across Africa. Do you know that Dangote Cement alone produces over 45.6 million metric tons of cement annually across 10 African countries? And the Dangote Sugar Refinery can process up to 1.44 million metric tons annually, covering most of West Africa's needs. His flour division processes 1.5 million metric tons of grain annually. Now, his new refinery can process enough petroleum to meet 100% of Nigeria's needs with the capacity to export to neighboring countries. Do you even know that Dangote's companies use over 1,000 trucks daily for distribution within Nigeria? Perhaps most interesting is his stock market performance. If you had invested just $10,000 in Dangote Cement when it first listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, that investment would be worth over $170,000 today. So what are the lessons we can all learn as African entrepreneurs from this great man? I believe we have 5 actionable lessons. The first is to start where you are and with what you have. Dangote started as a small trader before building factories. Now, the second lesson is to focus on solving fundamental problems. I can't say this enough on the channel. Once you can identify a pending problem and solve it, you are sure going to make lots of money. The third lesson here is to build for a long term. That was one of Dangote's secrets, all right? By the time his refinery saw the daylight last year, do you have an idea of when he started nursing that idea and started preparing towards it? No, you don't, I guess. So whenever you want to make decisions, think 10 or 20 years ahead, not just for the immediate profits. The fourth lesson, master your entire value chain. Work to control or strongly influence your supply chain. That is from material to customer delivery, just like he does. And last but not the least lesson, reinvest consistently. This takes a lot of discipline, all right? One mistake a lot of entrepreneurs do make is that at times they will sacrifice just from the beginning, all right? Maybe the first 3 years of their business to reinvest. And once the business flourishes, they start enjoying themselves and would often forget to keep reinvesting, to keep scaling up. Discipline yourself to plow your profits rather than focusing on your lifestyle expansion. So I believe that as African entrepreneurs, we have the opportunity to learn from his blueprint while creating our own path. And I also strongly believe that the next generation of African billionaires is watching this video right now. And they will build on what Dangote started. You, my goal-getter, will build on what Dangote started. So if you found value in this video, please goal-getters endeavor to like it as much as possible and share it to as many people as possible. For as I always say, the more we empower Africans, the greater Africa will be. So I would like to know in the comment section what part of Dangote's story inspired you the most. And let me know in the comment section as well which African billionaire you would love to come up next. And I would definitely come forth with it. That said, thanks for watching this video, as I will see you on my next one.